Hi, I want to share with you something that is absolutely going to be a new beginning for you. There's a lot of gurus out there that are selling products and informations, and I don't know if they intentionally do it or not, but they're not giving you some of the most important things in order for you to create success. And that's why I've put together the ROI Accelerator Thesis. Now, what I want you to do before we get into this is that, first of all, I want you to grab a pen and paper and take some copious notes, because I'm going to be sharing some things with you that I've shared with my one-on-one clients and my students, and this information could literally be the game changer from this point forward. Write this down, and that is: success leaves clues. And so if you understand that, then always be looking for the clue that's going to be what it is that you need in order to take your life and your business to the next level, right? And one of the success clues that I want to leave with you, there's many throughout this whole thesis, but the one that I want to start out with is this. And it was Bill Gates asked, what if you were to restart to build your wealth, what is it that you would look for? And he said these three things. The first thing is, he says, see the future of the industry, right? And then be able to be in the right place at the right time. And then once you understand that, then this is the important part, is to take massive action. And what I'm going to share with you is we are in the beginning of one of the biggest wealth opportunities that I think has ever hit this planet. And it's really just starting to get momentum. And I want to share with you why that's important for you if you're a coach, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a creator, a course creator, or if you're an author. This is who this message is for. See, is to understand the self-education industry is massively just starting to get momentum. They predict that by the year, I think it's 28, that it's going to be $1 trillion industry. Now, trillion is a big number that I'll get into much later on how important that is. But the thing that I really want you to understand, friends, is that there's two things, and there's two things only that determine what it is that you're going to create in your life. First thing is how you see you. How much do you value who you are and the information and the experience and the wisdom that you have to share? And the second thing is how much action you take to put into motion the things that are necessary in order for you to put your value out there, right? Because life is a reflection of you, right? And if you don't really truly value who you are as an individual, then it's going to be really hard to convince other people the value that you have to offer. And I'm going to share with you some really insider secrets on how to take that and leverage it and step into the next level, right? Because we all know that we're headed into some more tough times. In 2020, this world got reset, and there was a lot of people that were caught off guard and really struggled because they didn't have a backup plan. They didn't understand how to create from within themselves, and it left them in a very compromising position. There's a whole story that I want to share around that, but just for the sake of your time, I want to get into this as much as possible, because how are you going to prepare when it happens again? And it's not a question of if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, my friend. And I want to do all I can to show you your greatest asset is what I'm going to reveal to you in this presentation. So before you go any further, you might want to know, who am I? Okay, well, my name is Jeff Faldolan, okay, and I am a 2-time international best-selling author, okay? My first book was The Map to Your Fullest Potential, and I wrote that to accelerate what I was doing with my clients, and then I started thinking about what are some of the other things that I can offer people, and I was literally teaching people how to create acres of diamonds for experts, right? And this is what this whole presentation is about amalgamating these two books in themselves. See, but my life didn't start out this way, okay? I got to tell you this, okay, that I graduated 7th in my class, okay? Now, here's the caveat though. There were only 7 in my class. I did not sign up to be standing in front of a camera teaching lots and lots of people on how to accelerate their greatness and being able to move the needle within their life. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't aspire to be a speaker and all the things that I've created. It was a journey, and it started with what I call the Great Awakening. See, back in 1985, I woke up in a hospital, and I had pain coming over me like I had never experienced in my entire life. And when I opened up my eyes, it was unbearable pain. They say the two most painful things a human can go through is giving birth and having a compound fractured femur. I had a compound fractured femur in 2 places. I also had my neck shattered. But as I began to gain consciousness, I opened up my eyes and I had a nurse looking over the top of me. And this is when my life changed. And she shared some things with me. She first of all asked me, she goes, do you know who you are? And I don't know about you, but when somebody asks you a question, do you know who you are? You know something big happened, right? And I said, yes, I know who I am. And then she said, do you know who these people were? And I could tell that it was my family. And she goes, do you know where you're at? I could tell that I was in a hospital. Then she asked me a question that's forever changed my life. And I'm going to share that question with you here in a moment. And then she went on to tell me that my sister was across the street in another hospital fighting for her life. Now, I had no idea how to process that because, see, what had happened was I was driving this car doing about 85 to 90 miles an hour, went down in the ditch, hit an intersection, flew 85 feet and flipped end over end. And this is the result of that. And this was me a couple of months after the car accident. And what had happened to me, like I said, I'd shattered my neck and I had compound fractured my femur in 2 places. But my sister was in that car, and that was what needed to happen in order for me to get my attention and seeing how I was living my life. My sister had severe brain damage, shattered her jaw. They pronounced her DOA when they found us in the car. They lost her heartbeat twice on the way to the hospital. Now, this is up in North Dakota where the hospital was probably 60 miles away from where we were at. So they had to get there and take her back. It was a big, long ordeal. But I had to start really thinking about what I was going to do with my life, right? And I'm happy to tell you that both my sister and I have fully recovered from that car accident, but it was what had to happen in order to get me to look at what I was doing with my life. And the question that the nurse asked me was, do you know how you got here? See, friends, everything that you have created in your life right now is a result of inner programming up until now, and we're going to be changing some of that today. So I want you to just stay present in this presentation because what I decided to do was I decided to go to college because I felt so horrible for what I had done to my sister. People were telling me, Jeff, your drinking and driving is going to kill somebody. See, I had no idea how much I hated myself, how much I felt like a burden to this thing called humanity. And I drank. I was a full-blown alcoholic by the time I was 13 years of age. I was drinking or dealing drugs. I was doing everything I could to destroy my life, and I didn't suspect that I'd live to be 25 years of age. I did not like who I was. And so what I had to do is that wreck was the catalyst to get me to start looking at how I was showing up in life. And see, I would say to people when they'd say, you're drinking and driving is going to kill somebody, I just like, well, it's their time to go. It's their time to go. It took my sister being in that car for me to really get my attention of seeing how I was showing up in life. And unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of people is we pay the price, but we don't count the cost. And this is some of the things that I'm going to share with you in this strategy. So I went to college. I went to college to be an art teacher, which wasn't a very good plan back then. And I could start to see that wasn't a good plan. So I even made it even worse. I started going for a Bachelor in Fine Arts. Ended up going to architecture school and things like that. But what I ended up doing is creating a very successful career in jewelry, okay? And these are some of the pieces that I've created over the years. Had my own jewelry business, and I was one of the first ones literally online to have great success online. I've sold millions and millions of dollars of jewelry online before Blue Nile, before all the big dogs got on there, because everybody was telling me you can't sell jewelry online, but I was consistent and I was persistent and I wanted to make it happen. But see, I started getting some things happening inside of me as a result of doing this, and this was my company, Defa Diamond Jewelry. Had a great time. These are all different pieces that I've commissioned for different clients. But see, while I was doing all that, I was reading this. This, as you can see, is a self-confidence formula right here. I got this from Think and Grow Rich. And while I was in there in my shop working on jewelry and making all the jewelry that I was making, I was listening to Think and Grow Rich. And I've probably listened to that book over 300 times. I did what it said, and I read this to myself probably 3 times a day. I put it on the bathroom. Every time I go to the bathroom, I'd read this. And I really, really, really needed to integrate this into who I was as a person, because I knew the programming that I had was never going to create anything that I really wanted to make happen in life, right? And then I started getting more into network marketing and direct sales, and wanted to really start looking at how can I change my life and step into more in my purpose, because I could feel that there was a stirring going on inside of me, and I wasn't really sure what it was. So then I went online and I bought this book right here. It was actually, I got online and I looked up how to generate leads. How do you generate leads for a network marketing company that I was in at that time? And I came across this book, Business School. If you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. It's a great book. And what it did is it started getting me thinking about passive income and different ways of making money. but it got me in contact with somebody that I didn't realize what I got put into a lead system, okay? And in that lead system, we stayed in touch, and she started sharing some really amazing tools with me. And then I started figuring out how to generate some leads online and started getting more into internet marketing. And I bought books from, this is going to date me. Some of you may or may not know who Corey Rudel was. Corey Rudel was like the godfather of internet marketing. And unfortunately, we lost him many, many years ago in a racing accident. But he was literally one of the first ones that created a course for internet marketing. And so I've been studying internet marketing. I was just doing stuff on the internet before it was the web, back in when they used to call it what they called web malls. And it's just been an interesting journey that I got put on as a result of some of the things that I had transpired up to that. This is really important. I'm sharing this with you because I didn't get here because I read a book. I didn't get here because I had some whiz-bang fault thing happen. I'm sharing with you the journey that I've been on and what separates people that make things happen and what doesn't make them happen, because I've had catastrophic failures as well. And you'll understand that more as we go through this. But I started generating some leads and started having some success. And then one day, had an explosion in my life. Now this nuclear part of this story represents about 4 years of my life. What had happened is the platform that I had my jewelry store on kicked me off because it associated me with some other things that weren't part of what I was doing. I lost a multi-million-dollar business like that overnight. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I started doing wholesale jewelry and things like that. But what it did is it started getting me accessing parts within myself that I wasn't even aware that was there. And at this point, I'd already been in transformational work, being sober and that for, I don't know, probably 15 years at that time. But I knew that there was something bigger inside of me that was being called forward. And because of this book, this gal that turned me on to this introduced me to this other direct sales company. And long story short, I ended up going to an event, and I ended up going to a 3-day event. And I remember I just sold all of my jewelry equipment. I'd sent away my gold sweeps. It was funny because I was walking out the door towards this event that we were going to go to. And I got the check for my sweeps, and I opened it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this was like way more than what I thought it was going to be. And I ended up calling the refiner and said, dude, is this accurate? And he's like, yeah. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is way more than what I thought it was going to be. So we go down to this event, and I got introduced to an idea that has forever changed my life. Forever changed my life. Now keep in mind, in the back of my mind, I've always been asking the question, how did you get here? How did you get here? Okay. And what happened, I went to an event, 3-day event, and at the end of it, he sold a package of introducing me into a concept that I didn't even know it was possible. And that was how to sell informational products and how to become a speaker. Okay. Now, when I did that, I had basically taken that check that I got from the refiners and I gave it to him. It was over $8,000. This is back in 2008, I believe it was. And having no idea how to get over on the East Coast, spend 5 days over there in a hotel. Like I had no idea how to do all this stuff, but I was just going by what I felt was being called out in front of me. Okay. Well, what ended up happening about a month after that, I ended up doing my first speaker event. Okay. Now this is a really, really important part of the journey, is because I'm going to share with you some things that I see stop people from really stepping into their greatness, is they feel they have to know the how before they take action. And I'm going to obliterate that by telling you my own journey, because it doesn't have to happen, because the how shows up when you have become what is necessary for you to create what it is that you create. The how then aligns with you and shows you how to do it. Okay. So I go to this speaker event. This is actually Dr. Stan Harris, Breakthrough Stan Harris. That is basketball Bill. And at the time, and I don't know what it is anymore, he had the world's record for the most free throws in one time. I think it was at that time like 1,300 free throws without a miss. There was also Bone Crusher was one of the first guys that knocked out Tyson. He was one of the speakers. There was also Tiana Williams. This was a gal that was born with no arms. Incredible, incredible story. So this was literally my first speaking event where I sold something from the stage. And what I had done is I had created a course called the Prospecting Funnel. Okay. Now the Prospecting Funnel was a result of me, back when I showed you the business school book, put me into a system, and I got part of an organization on teaching you how to internet market and stuff like that. I had taken what they had done and taught and learned how to generate a prospecting funnel system, which was based around a website. Back then, I got my website to be in the top 100,000 websites within the world. And that was my prospecting funnel. It ended up becoming the funnel system. You would put information to all these different places, and then the leads would come into this system, and then you'd have your cold, warm, and hot leads that would go through that prospecting funnel. Okay. Now this is the important part. I knew that when I went to my speaker event. Okay. And then I had some master resale right products and things like that that I used to be a part of my prospecting funnel. I sold 2 of those at that speaker event. Sold them for $500 each. And then I sold a bunch of memberships for, I think it was $97 is what I sold that product for, and sold, I don't know, I think like 100 of them or something like that when I first started. So this is my first venture, but then my website got hacked into, and then there was lots of other things that happened. It started breaking that all down, and I didn't really understand what was happening to me. But this was a big, big transition. Right here, I want to make sure I got the right pen. Right here is where a massive interjection happened in my life. And that was, I went to a Tony Robbins event. And now I had started studying NLP back in 90 when I first got clean and sober, and been working with it and things like that. But right after this happened, I went to a UPW event. And then shortly after that, I went and got my master's in NLP, hypnosis, and timeline therapy. This is when things really started to change for me, because I had been coaching for 15 years prior to that, but I had never really been getting paid. I've been paid by some people on how to internet market and things like that, but I didn't really have some tools that could really move the needle for people. Now, this is really important because I'm a big advocate for this. Tony Robbins does not have any certifications. This is part of the sham that we've been taught, which is society's hypnotic altered matrix, is because we believe we need certifications in order for us to feel that we're worthy to put things out there. Now, I have nothing against certifications. I have lots of them. But what happens is I see so many people being held back of putting out their greatness because they don't have the certification. So I just want to put that out there. We'll talk about that more later. But when this happened, I ended up, I was doing work for a jeweler, had to do some work for him to kind of hold me through, but I was coaching people out of that car, okay? I would get up at 5 in the morning, coach for a couple hours, go do work for this guy. I would go out on my lunch break and coach people out of that car during my lunch break, and then I would come home and then coach for a couple more hours. I was grinding 14 to 16 hours a day, building my coaching business. And what it started out was I was coaching people in network marketing. This is how I started out. And then some things happen. One of the processes I do, and I want to share this with you, there's many things I'm telling you that is going to be revealed as we go through this thesis, because I want to plant a seed and then let that seed ruminate for a little bit unconsciously. And then I'm going to help you, support you so that you understand what that seed meant later, okay? Every decision you have made in your entire life is the result of what you truly value. Every decision you make is literally clarifying what you truly value. So I didn't understand this, but I got really, really clear in eliciting my values and getting really clear on what it is that I want to create within my life. And I created a vision. And on that vision, like they say, if you want to manifest, the 2 things that are going to determine what you create in your life is how you see yourself and your actions. But how you see yourself, you get in a visceral response and seeing this is the evidence that's going to happen once I create that, then your subconscious knows how to serve you more, okay? So I had done that process in the context of career, and literally my income went up about 1,000%. And I was out in Vail, Colorado, and this is why this is important with this picture, is because I drove up on top of the mountain, and I looked over the edge of that mountain, and I had seen the image that I had associated with what my top value was at that time, which was freedom. Right? For freedom is my top value when it comes in the context of career, because I want to be able to be mobile, to be agile, to be able to do the things that I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, as much as I want, right? That's true freedom, right? So that's what's significant about this picture. But then this is when everything really started to change for me and started being a catalyst to take me to the next level. And that is when I created my first best-selling book, international bestseller. And there's a whole story behind that. Like, I hired a publicist, spent it out there. She came and lived with us and went through all kinds of excruciating pain and trauma and all that stuff. But that was about a 3-year process after I'd got my master's. But I was committed. I was going to get my message out there. So then I did my book. Now, this is not just a book. This is a transformational mechanism. This book has been responsible for generating millions and millions of dollars for myself and for my clients. Now, why that is because it starts opening up possibilities of what you can do. When you present somebody a book, you instantly position yourself as an authority figure. Like, I know what I'm talking about, and it creates proximity for you. Okay, so what ended up happening as a result of that, I went and was part of a speaker training, right? Like, this guy created a speaker product. I ended up being a part of that. Mike Koenigs and Ed Rush, both powered up speakers and speaker trainers. I was a part of their product that they created because I had my book, okay? And then as a result of that, I went to that event, and then I created my podcast called The Potential Zone. Now, this is what's really, really important. So I have a membership called The Potential Zone, and then I have my podcast called The Potential Zone Show. I want to share this with you because I can't tell you what that show has really done for me. I had one conversation. Friends, I'm going to say this many times throughout this thesis so that you really get this inside of you. You are one conversation away from changing the rest of your life. You are one decision away from changing the rest of your life. You are one skill away from changing the rest of your life. Okay? I had a guest on that show that literally introduced me to possibilities that I couldn't even comprehend at that time. Right? But what I did is, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. Because there's two things that really determine the quality of your life. I would write this down. This is really important. And that is the scripts that you play in your head and the images that you have in your head, the movies that you play out in your head. Okay? Why I say that is because with my podcast, I could feel everything in my life was transitioning at such a rapid rate, and that the people that I was hanging out with they weren't a part of my life anymore because I was raising my vibration. I was seeking different things, and I was all by myself pretty much. And I wanted to have a conversation with other intellectual people that were on the same path as me. And as it says in Think and Grow Rich, if you're going value from somebody else, then learn how to deliver value to them. And so I knew with a podcast that it would open the door for me to have conversations with people and invite me into the network. That, my friends, is a clue, okay? So I start this podcast, and shortly after that, I wrote my second book, my second international bestseller, and this is me doing a book signing event when I did that. And friends, it's amazing. It's amazing what all this happened. Again, I graduated 7th, the last of my class, and I would have done anything to convince you that I had no opportunity in life, that I was actually going to create a life for myself and for other people that was going to be able to put me in the position that I'm in today. So I really want you to understand this is all about progression and staying true to what your vision wants you to call you forward, right? So this is me with some friends of mine. This is Andy. This guy is amazing. I'm trying to think of Andy's last name. This is Mike Filsame, who is now the co-founder of GrooveFunnels. And I just want to tell you, you write a book, you open a podcast, not a big deal. I can show you how to do that. And you'll be amazed on what you open. So what I mentioned to you is success leaves clues, right? And so you having a book opens up doors so that you can be on other people's podcasts. It allows you to be invited on shows. And this is what I show people, is learning how to take your value, your wisdom, and your expertise and put it out there at a bigger level, right? So that's what this did. Like I said, I ended up coaching Mike Filsame for a couple sessions. Amazing. Andy Murphy was his name. This guy has coached sheiks, is that how you say it? Sheiks. Very, very high level athletes. He was a world champion martial artist. Amazing guy. I've had him on my podcast about 3 times, I think. But my point in saying all this, friends, is I wanted to be able to create things for people that would support them and give them value, and also put me in circles that would allow me to expand. Because friends, understand, your environment, here's another one of those moments. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. And so you need to be in an environment that calls you forward and brings out your greatness. The more you can do that, the more you're going to move the needle, because what determines how fast you accelerate through someone, and I'm known as the acceleration guy, what determines how fast you accelerate through something is your resistance to it. And not only the resistance that you have in yourself, but also the resistance that you have in your environment. So this is really mission and critical, okay? But out of this, my podcast that I was telling you about right here, okay, what ended up happening is I had a guest on my show, and she introduced me to a good old boy named Joel Bauer. Okay, Joel Bauer took me to a whole other level with my speaking, and what it's done is it's put me in a network of people. This is Alex Mendoza. This is Mr. Google himself. Like, this guy's been doing internet marketing and things like that long before big launches and stuff like that happened. This is Sandra Bravo. She works for Success Resources, Powered Up MC for them, which is T. Harv Ecker's event. This is Terry Levine. I've worked with her. We were going to do some projects together. One of the highest paid coaches out there. She's been on Success Magazine. This is Joel Bauer's wife, me showing them about my book. This is Dan Locke, obviously, if you know him. This is Jonathan Jakes. This old boy, he's at Viral Secrets is his product. You got to check it out, right? And this is Myron Golden. Myron was actually the one that I took the first speaker training with back in 2008, right? But this is what happens. You start putting yourself in different environments and different opportunities start opening up, and you'll be amazed at how fast things will accelerate. Again, your environment is going to determine how you show up in this world. You know, we hear the saying, birds of a feather flock together, right? But understanding, here's a clue. Our biggest fear in our life is being separated from our tribe, okay? And our tribe is what keeps us at the level that we are at. And we always want to be in an environment and in a tribe that calls us forward and creates more and more opportunities. Myron Golden has created an event where he did $4.3 million in 45 minutes, right? He wasn't doing that back when I first took his training with him, but as a result of that, now I'm able to hang out with these kind of people. Here was an event I did, and this is my client Dorothy, where I was talking to them and asking them if they wanted to change their inner world and step into their greatness and use their message to change lots and lots of lives. And this is people showing their hands. This is what's possible for you, my friend, is all you need to do is be at the right place at the right time and then take massive action, just like Bill Gates said. And I'm going to show you some amazing things with this. So out of that, when I went and seen the Joel Bauer event, I met another guy who was a pastor, and I started coaching him. Now, understand, this was right here, right there is COVID. This was 2020. This is about June-ish in 2020. The world got shut down and ended up being one of the most profitable years I'd ever had in my life. Okay, my client, who was Jonathan, he and I started working together. He was a pastor. He's like, dude, we got to get this out to men. So we did these 3 events. This is Jonathan right here. We did these 3 events called Mandate. Okay, this is the very first one we did. I believe it was in June. And I think we ended up doing, well, the numbers has to be this. I can't disclose it because it's under contract. But it was a bunch. It was a bunch of money. Okay, we'll just say multiple 5 figures, right? And we did that in 2 days. Okay. And then we went on and did these other events and had huge success. And it was amazing on what it felt like to take your information and put it out there and being able to have people's lives absolutely transformed. But see, this is what I want you to get. I'd go in and teach these events for 2 days. And then at the end of them, we do a call to action. But what we were doing the call to action for had not been created yet. I had the framework. I had the product idea. I had everything in place of what I wanted to create. And this, my friends, is what I ended up creating. The potential code and switchology. This right here, the potential code, is my baby. This literally teaches you to step into your potential in all areas of your life. And that's what we sold at these events. But then switchology was another course that I sold with them, which is a 21-day journaling course. See, the thing that a lot of people will not be honest with you about, and I get why. They have to be the guru. They have to tell you things in a certain way so that you get get seduced into the results, but they won't tell you some things that are really important. And I'm here to manage your expectations from this point forward. And that is, you can disrupt thought processes and thought strategies and neurological strategies and all that stuff. You can disrupt it really quickly. But the issue is what do you do with it after you've disrupted it? You have to condition it. Right? That's why Tony calls it NAC, neuro-associated conditioning, instead of NLP, right? There's other stories behind that too, but we won't get into that. But that's what switchology is it teaches you how to train your nervous system in a way that you're able to create the results that you want to create. Because let's be real, friends, your outer world is a result of your inner world. Life doesn't happen to you or for you. It happens through you. As I am, so it is. So how you see yourself is going to determine everything that you create in your life. And that's what both of these courses really do. And as a result of that, this is Jonathan at his place. We did a millionaire mansion mastermind. We did that last year, and this was in his place. And this is when I parked my car, and then when I pulled up. And I'm showing you the contrast of the car that I had when I was coaching, and this is the car that I have today. I love my car. I call her Pearl. But I love this car, and there's a whole story behind that as well, because it took me decades for me to believe that I deserved the car that I really wanted. I've had nice vehicles, many, many, many nice vehicles, but I didn't have my car, my hot rod, because of what I'd done to my sister. I love cars, and I just got that car a couple of years ago. And that is the progression of understanding of what determines. This is a taker downer. This is another success clue here for you. What determines the weight, the time it's going to take for you to manifest what you want to create is a reflection of what you hang on to. The weight that you carry. And I'm a master at showing you how to let that stuff go so that you can step into higher possibilities. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this, when we continue with this thesis. This is an event that I did last May. It was May of this year. I went and did this down in San Antonio, Texas. Huge event. One of my clients invited me down for that event, and it was incredible how that all turned out. But I'm telling you all of this, my friend, because once you understand the strategies and the techniques and how to step into your essence, anything is possible for you. Okay, so now that is why I'm here. This has been some of my journey to show you that I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I've gone through a lot of things to get me here. So let's get into what does it mean. So the ROI, okay, the R stands to rewrite your inner programmings to unleash your fullest potential. What determines success and failure? It's a really important question. It is your inner programming. It is your inner programming. So I want to show you how to rewrite your inner programming. Right? Because see, friends, understand right here, this is everything. This right here is everything that you currently have in your life, right? The size of your family, the cars you drive, the house you have, the money you have in your bank, how you manage your time, and the vacations that you go on, all of it is a result of your inner programming. So if you want to make it bigger, okay, going out here in more expensive cars, more expensive houses, go on more travel, create more time freedom, all of that, it's going to require a different version of you, okay? And again, what's going to come up is how we get attached to the programs that got us to where we're at. And that's why I say this is to rewrite your inner programming so that you can step into your superpower, because the internal programming that keeps you playing small was conditioning. It was conditioning. We are literally living our lives based on what somebody else taught us. Okay, so think about this. 75% of what you know in your entire life, this is really important to understand, was by the age of 5. 75% of the programs that you play that run out your life was conditioned in you by the age of 5. Now here's even something that's even more interesting. Is that think about at the age of 5, how much of that didn't you really even understand communication, right? So the most in print years, the most vulnerable conditioning and printing years we had was 0 to 2. How many of us knew really even how to talk and speak full sentences or really understand paragraphs, right, within that part of our life? So we've been imprinted and programmed based off frequency, energy, and vibration. My friend. So understand that when Dad came home from work and he was tired and you felt his energy, you made up stories about that. Okay. And I'm going to tell you some other things when we go through this. But see, this is the other part that a lot of people won't talk about. Okay. Because they can't. Because if they tell you the truth, you're not going to buy their program. Okay. So let me go a little bit further. 90% plus of our lives is automatic by the time we're 35 years of age. So that means every strategy you have used to get you where you're at right now is automatic. We don't even have to think about what it is that we do, right? And I think we have like 60,000 thoughts. 90% of those thoughts are the same each and every day. We have to reprogram our inner world if we are going to create something different than what we've been creating. Most gurus won't tell you this, right? Because that's a whole other story. I won't get into that, okay? So let me talk about why this happens. So this, my friends, is your unconscious mind, okay? This takes everything personal. Okay, we're just going to put personal, okay? It takes everything personal, okay? This is where your permanent memory is. This is where all your emotions are. Okay? 0 to 5. 0 to 6, somewhere in there, is basically you're just running off your subconscious mind, right? But then when we're about 7, we start taking on our conscious mind. This is our logic, okay? This is our analytical part. This can get crazy. This is our analytical. This is our thought processes. This comes up with the thinking part of us, right? But this is what really gets crazy. This part right here comes on the scene about 12, 13 years old, okay? We're going to put here 12 to 13 years old. This is called your critical faculty, okay? Now, what the critical faculty does is an interesting thing. It protects everything that's been put in your subconscious mind. So let me give you a case in point, okay? If I told you, I said, you know, I don't know if you've looked in the mirror lately, but your hair is a really interesting shade of blue. Now you'd go, well, it might be blue, but if it wasn't, you would go, Jeff, you're out of your flipping mind, but you wouldn't be offended. Why? Because it is who you are and you know who you are, right? But if I said something about, why would you say something like that? Are you not smart? Something like that, it's much different, right? See, what determines what gets in and offends us is what's already in there. Let me repeat that. What gets in here is what's already in there, right? So this is the narratives that we create when we start stepping out into new areas to create the products and the services and the things that we want to do. We start getting in touch with all of the doubt, all of the imposter syndrome comes up here, right? But see, if you rechange the program inside, is if I told you your skin is an interesting color of blue, this would reject it. It rejects it. Why? Because it's not in there. This is why we get offended. And the more you understand this, the more you're going to be able to step into your greatness, okay? See, now, here's a story I want to share with you. You have a child. If you have a child, great. If not, you can relate to this, right? One of the most profound moments of people's lives that have children is they look down on that child and go, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible love I've ever experienced in my life. And as that child develops and goes out there and plays sports and does other things with other kids, what child are they paying attention to? They're paying attention to their child. Why? Because it's part of them. It's part of their creation. Okay? But this is the same thing we do with our beliefs. We created these beliefs and we don't think that we have the ability to rewrite them. And most people look at things of what to believe and not what to believe rather than how to believe. And I show you how to do all this stuff in the ROI Accelerator, right? So we get very attached to, create very strong biases towards the things that we've already created, right? And this is the biggest thing that brings up the imposter syndrome and why we have sabotage programs playing inside of us. And I want to do everything I can to support you letting that go, right? So this is what's going on inside. This is why your life is where it's at. So let's do in some good things. Now, let's talk about Melina. Melina was one of my clients that I met. And when I met Melina, she was doing $250 a month as a librarian and wanting to build her coaching business. In a very short amount of time, we let go of some of these beliefs that helped her play, that was keeping her playing small. And within about 2 to 3 months, she was doing over $20,000 a month with courses, workshops, and things like that. Like, she let go of some of these and just stepped into her greatness. And it was amazing how quick she was able to create things. And unfortunately, Melina's not with us anymore. And I want to do everything I can to celebrate her life, because she was a testament of what is possible when you really step into your greatness, okay? So now that was the R. Now we're going to get into the O. The O is to be able to optimize your message and offer to generate more wealth a lot faster. See, friends, understand that wealth isn't about making more money. Although that's part of it, wealth is about making money faster. It's about collapsing time. But there's some things that are going on inside of you that are impacting your ability to do just that. Let me give you a case in point. So let's say you have $100, okay? And we're going to see how you spend that $100. This $100 represents energy, okay? So let's do some interesting things. How much, I got to get down with this, man. This thing I get down with you, right? How much are you financing worry? How much energy are you putting towards worry? Okay, let's do a conservative number. Let's say $20. Most people, when I do this in front of a stage, they'll say about $40, right? We'll play conservative today, okay? Next thing, fear. How much are you financing fear? Of that $100, how much are you putting into fear? Okay, so let's go, this is a little bit higher. Okay, let's go $30. This, my friends, is the big one. Doubt. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Okay, and I'll tell you the whole thing about failure in just a moment. But let's say we're going to give doubt $50. You are now used up your $100. Okay? Now, this is the price. See, we pay the price, but we don't count the cost, right? What about creation? Create. There's nothing left to create. There's nothing for joy. There's nothing for fulfillment, right? These are all vibrations that we're not able to experience because we're bankrupt energetically. And when you start looking at your life in profit, using profit as managing your energy, one of the biggest costs for entrepreneurs is that they don't recognize the cost of turnover, right? And the biggest cost of turnover is they don't know how to relate with other people. Most entrepreneurs want to be entrepreneurs because they don't want to work for somebody else. But the problem is that you have to work for somebody else if you're going to scale and become bigger and create bigger impact in this world, okay? And it's all because of your internal programming, okay? So what we need to do is change this. So let's talk about this, okay? Right here is my wonderful light bulb. Now, don't tell anybody this, okay? But I got a bachelor in fine arts, but my fine arts degree was in jewelry and photography, okay? It was not in drawing. But this, my friends, is a light bulb, okay? Now, what's interesting about this, let's say we plug in this light bulb to 100 watts, okay? We plug that in. Now, think about this. You plug in 100 watts to an incandescent light bulb, and let's say that light bulb is in a big old empty warehouse, and it didn't have a lampshade on top of it. It would emanate light to a certain point. It would literally be like a white dome in the middle of that warehouse, okay? Now, let's take 25 watts. I like playing with 25 watts. Let's take 25 watts and plug that in to this laser, okay? Laser actually stands for light amplified and stimulated by emitter radiation. So it takes the power that is put into it and really focuses it. You could shoot that laser to the moon and back. This is the difference between focus and confusion, right? And this, my friends, oops. Well, okay, I'm gonna tell you my little secret. A to Z. If I spell something wrong, just reach up in here and grab it out of A to Z and put it in there, okay? I'm not a great speller. I'm here to teach you and have fun doing that. So if there's anything that I misspell, please, by all means, help yourself to the A to Z and put it in there so it satisfies your need to spell correctly. But see, if we are in confusion, we are burning up energy massively. Why is that important? This is why it's important, okay? This is vibration. This is your energy, okay? And so think about, where are you at the end of the day? Most of the time we're down here because we've spent all of our energy. This is your energy cylinder here, right? So you go to a grocery store hungry, okay? Your body has taken over, right? You are in a reaction state, okay? Let's say we go back here and we look at all of these lower vibrating things that are happening at different levels here. But what we want to have happen, the how, is up here. This is where the opportunity is, okay? Opportunity is a result of what you believe is possible, right? But when we are down here, we are in survival mode, right? And it's the same thing when you go to a grocery store. You are hungry, you are starving, and all you want to do is take care of that pain that you're experiencing, right? We need to get you up into higher vibrations so that you can start seeing opportunity at a higher level, okay? Massively, massively important. This is what we do in relationships. I don't want to be alone. So you get in a relationship and you get treated badly, and then your environment's stronger than your willpower, and then you end up getting the life sucked out of you. Imagine this. You have all these strings that are attached here, and let's say I lay this out on my desk, and I fill this up to here. I've actually got a picture of this. I fill this cylinder up with water, okay? And then I put all these strings in here, and then by the morning, all of this water will be down here because all of these strings siphoned out that liquid. What I'm going to tell you right here, my friend, is really, really important. It's not that we're unresourceful. We get into unresourceful states that make us believe that we're not resourceful. This is mission critical if you are going to expand what it is that you want to create. Okay? So let me tell you about Kevin. Kevin was somebody that worked with. Brilliant, amazing dude, like had all kinds of charisma, and really being able to, like people just loved him. He was an amazing, amazing guy. But there was one little program that Kevin was playing that was holding him back. And it was, he was afraid of disappointing people because he was raised in an environment that really emphasized when he was disappointing, when he disappointed somebody, right? So think about just that one little program, how much that would impact when you are expanding and starting to do big, big numbers. When I met Kevin, he was doing between $5,000 and $10,000 a month. Today, he does between $100,000 and $200,000 a month, right? It's not massive shifts. It's tiny little tweaks that support you in stepping into your greatness, okay? Now, because this is really, really important, how you hold your past is going to determine your future. Now you're all going, well, what does this have to do with making money? It has everything to do with making money, right? Because the amount of money is going to come into your life based on what you believe you're worth. It's going to become to you based on the value that you deliver to the marketplace, okay? So now we get into the influence aspect of it, okay? I'm going to teach you how to influence in a way that eliminates competition and puts you in a category of one. Why? Because I'm going to show you how to take who you are as an extraordinary human being, and I'm going to show you how to message it in a way that there's no competition because there's nobody else out there like you. There's nobody else out there like you, my friend. So the most important thing, now we've all heard, and the reason I say this, friends, I can't tell you, I've spent well over $1 million in personal development, buying courses, going to seminars, all of that stuff, okay? I'm a ferocious learner, and this is something that they don't teach you in the connection of how to really get clear on your avatar. Why? Because, well, it could be just they don't know, right? But this is NLP stuff that I've taken this is, NLP is just kindergarten stuff. This is massive quantum level stuff that I'm teaching you here. Your avatar, the person that you want to connect with, first of all, we got to decide, is it health, wealth, or relationship? These are the three main categories, right? First thing you got to decide is how much money you want to make, okay? I've trained and coached some of the highest paid coaches out there. All my coaches are in the top percentile of, friends, understand, over 90% of coaches make less than $20,000 a year. Like, that's staggering to me, right? And there's reasons why, is because I'm calling it the starving coach syndrome instead of the starving artist syndrome, is because they don't know how to articulate the value that they bring to the marketplace, okay? So you get this avatar and you want to find out how much you want to make. Well, you need to make sure that the avatar that you want to speak to is going to be able to support you in what you want to create, okay? But understand that every conversation you're having, there's a lot going on. Rapport, this word right here, is the keys to the kingdom. You being able to have rapport with anybody is going to open up doors for you like, oh my goodness, it's amazing what happens this. But let's say this is your client, to-be client, and this is you. There's literally 8 conversations going on in this conversation. They are thinking about what to say. They say it, okay? You hear it. They're doing some crazy stuff. You hear it, and then you interpret it, okay? Now, you think about what you're going to say. Then you say it. They hear it, and then they interpret it. And then the cycle goes back and forth. So there's literally 8 conversations going on. This is why it is so important for you to understand your story so that you can articulate it. Now, I'm going to throw something crazy at you. Crazy at you. Who is the most influential person that's ever walked on this planet? Okay, there's going to be all kinds of different answers. But what I'd like to say, and this has nothing to do with religion, is Jesus. Why was Jesus the most influential person on this planet? Now, you can say, well, some people say, well, it's because he was God. Okay, cool. But he still was a human. It was because of his ability to tell stories. See, the stories puts the person in there, right? And the more you can tell your stories, just like I've been doing through this whole thesis, the more you can understand how to take down the resistance that prevents people from stepping in and buying your services and products. You need to know how to get into their head and tell stories that take down that barrier. And I'm going to show you this right here. This, my friends, is going to determine everything about how much money you make, okay? Now, there's 4 different levels to this. So this right here, level 1, is the task level. This is trading time for money, okay? This is working at McDonald's. This is working, like when I was a jeweler. When I worked for other people or did work for other people, I was exchanging time and a section of time for a certain amount of money. You will never, ever create wealth doing that, okay? And I have no judgment for it. Obviously, it's been part of my journey. Like I've been working since I was 7 years old, right? And for a big part of it, I was trading my time for money because I didn't value my time. When I was younger, I felt like I had all the time in the world. As I get around the sun more and more times, I start understanding how precious time really is. See, Steve Jobs would have done anything to have more time. Money will only take you so far, okay? But then you get to the next level, and this is when I got in the corporate world. Now you start leveraging, okay, and duplicating. Now, what I'm doing here is part of duplicating what I teach, right? Because now I can send this out to hundreds, millions of people rather than having to do it over and over and over. So you start duplicating yourself. This is management, CEO. This is being able to oversee a number of people where you're not doing each and every task, you're able to oversee it, be able to create VAs, being able to build a system, okay? Really, really, really important. Now we get up into the really big one, okay? Communication. Now I want you to notice something here, okay? Right here is the word, awareness. As your awareness expands, now friends, I want you to hear what I'm about to tell you. You are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. You are your awareness. Okay? And so what I mean by that is your awareness is your bandwidth of what you can access when you need to step into your resourcefulness. Okay? So you can see as you go up this value map, your awareness increases. See, communication, what I'm doing right now is communication. You learning how to do a podcast, you learning how to communicate in different modalities, through a book, through a podcast, through a course, through speaking, whatever it is, you're communicating a message. And now look at where your earning potential is starting to get much bigger and much wider. Okay, this is where I've made my biggest one I've done so far is I think I did 95K in an hour. Okay. And I did a presentation, and it was funny because this guy told me, he said, like, I told him the price, it was for a $500 product, and he's like, we haven't done anything over, I think it was $67 at that point. And I said, okay, cool, let me do it. I ended up having the highest conversion they had ever seen, and being able to, that ended up generating about $95,000 for me, okay? The reason is because I understand how to create a presentation that gets you to go from where you're at to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time. And that's what I want to show you in the influence aspect of this, right? Now, we get up into the top one. This is where infinity happens. This is where all possibility happens. This is imagination and creation, okay? And so thinking about, like I said, the self-help industry, the self-education industry is going to explode, right? And you have all this information, all this experience inside of you where you can make massive, massive shifts happen for lots of other people, and being able to do it just like I showed you here, right? Like I can show you how to become a very, very successful speaker. I've created some of the best I haven't created them, I guided them on being one of the best international speakers out there. Let me tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy was one of a client that I started working with about 5 years ago. And she came to me, I met her at Joel Bauer's event. And I met her and we had one session, and I got rid of a story that she'd been carrying for 30 years. She'd been in therapy over 30 years, spent close to $1 million on personal development when I had met her. And I got her to let go of one story that was holding her back that she wasn't even aware of it happening. Okay, she's gone on to write 3 international best-selling books. She is one of the highest paid coaches out there. And at that point, she'd been speaking over 30 years and never made a dime from her speaking. Now she creates very, very high ticket level courses. And I can't tell you how proud I am. In fact, tomorrow, she and I are going to be speaking on another platform with somebody that I'm really, really excited about that. She and I have done products together. Amazing. She ended up, she was actually the one that created online gift cards for the spa industry. Very successful. I think she's got like 100 awards for entrepreneurship and stuff like that. She sold her businesses and now she's a coach, full-time coach. Not full-time, she does it part-time, but again, one of the highest paid coaches out there, right? is a result of what me showing her how to step in and owning her knowledge and her experience and teaching other people. So for if you have found this to be of value and you want to accelerate whatever it is that you're creating, so that you want to rewrite your inner programming so that you can stand into your super potential. So if you want to optimize your message so that you can generate wealth much faster and influence others so that you eliminate competition and put yourself in a category of one, then you want to stick around. But if you don't want to accelerate it and you've just found this as being an interesting conversation, then by all means, you're welcome to click off this video, because where I'm going to take you next, my friends, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to take just a little bit here. So if you really want to accelerate your life and go to the next level, because we are stepping into one of the biggest wealth opportunities ever. And friends, I'm not a person that lives with many regrets, but there's one that I've had, and it is not seizing the opportunity when I was presented with it. And the reason I didn't is because of my internal programming was so far beyond where I'm at today. I didn't seize it. Today, we have an incredible opportunity. And this is why I have created the ROI Accelerator method. Okay, so let me show you what you're going to get with the ROI Accelerator method. Okay, here is the back office of my course. First of all, we have the ROI Accelerator. Within this course, you're going to get some amazing things. Okay, so first of all, I did this with 2 challenges. This is where the first challenge I did, I think I'd made about, I think it was about 85 grand that I did with that. It was a 3-day challenge. I ended up selling my ROI Accelerator Mastery. The ROI Accelerator Mastery now is 17 modules, okay? I teach you everything you need in order to know how to do a webinar, to know how to do a video sales letter, to know how to do a speech. I call it an expandable framework. So you can do a 10-minute speech or you can do a 10-day speech. I show you how to do an expandable framework. It's going to blow your mind, okay? I teach you how to rewrite your internal programming so you can stand in your greatness. I show you how to know where it is that you're going and be laser focused on what it is that you want to create. If you don't know where you're going, doubt is going to overwhelm you, my friend. Then I show you how to create bonuses. One of the things when you are doing an offer, you want to do what they call value stacking. You need to be able to put offers in there and bonuses in there that really exemplify the value that you are presenting. There is a difference between intrinsic value and perceived value. A Hyundai and a Rolls Royce have the same intrinsic value. They get you from point A to point B. They have much different perceived value. I want to show you how to take your knowledge, your expertise, and your services and create perceived value so that you become, just like my other clients and some of the highest paid coaches, entrepreneurs out there. And I want to do that and make that happen. The other thing that you're going to get, this presentation mastery. This right here, literally, I could charge 50 grand for. Now you might go, Jeff, how could you charge 50 grand for this? Because what I teach you in that alone has cost me decades of learning how to do this. And once you know how to create a high ticket offer, present it to a crowd. See, I understand something that most people don't understand, most coaches. I understand the value of what I bring. I show you things on how to create a product, how to create a system, how to create a group coaching that you can charge high ticket for. And then out of that, let's say I show you how to do a $10,000 high ticket offer, okay? I show you how to build an audience in a workshop that you can fill the room up. And then I show you how to convert that room to get 30 to 40% conversion rate. I've done 110, right? Like pretty high closing rate when I put a group of people together. So you have a $10,000 product and you close 30%. Let's say you have 100 people in that room. That's 30 people at $10,000 a piece. That's $300,000 for you. Now, this is potential. I don't know if it's going to be possible or you're not. You got to make the moves to make that happen, right? But that's $300,000. This shows you how to do that. That's why I can say this is literally worth $50,000. It's actually playing small on actually what I do with that presentation mastery. Then I give you resources. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is a thing. I'm going to tell you, just like I tell everybody else, the thing I get accused of more than anything is I over-deliver. I'm going to blow your mind with what's possible for you in your life. Okay, so this is the ROI Mastery. All right, let's go back. Now, the other thing you're going to get my Mastering Potential Masterclass. So I'm going to give you a little secret, okay? As you can see, I've got the potential code, got Mastering Potential. Potential is an acronym for me. It teaches you perspective, orientation, thinking, energy, neurodynamics, trusting yourself, your intelligence and inspiration, awareness and legacy. That's what potential stands for. This was my first baby. This literally is, I had this course appraised over $35,000. And why? Because this is an encyclopedia on you stepping into your fullest potential. It's my baby. It's my baby. Like I said, I sold it before I even created it. Took me 9 months to create it. Okay, powerful, powerful course. Laws of Success was a VIP that I gave to the people that signed up for VIP in the ROI Accelerator. This is the Laws of Success. This is Napoleon Hill's Laws of Success and my take on it. Powerful, powerful training. This right here is a course that I did with Dorothy. Programming for Prosperity. Dorothy is ninja at learning how to leverage your time very effectively. That's what she does very, very well. So this was a big course that we created. This is a $5,000 course as well. Turning Change into Abundance. I did this right after COVID happened to get people to start thinking about different ways that they can make money. Friends, think about how much effort you put into thinking of just about paying the bills. Think about how much bandwidth that takes of you. Rather than taking that energy and putting it into something that you can create that creates passive income and you can scale it. You have to have a system in order for you to scale it. This is all stuff that I teach in the ROI code as well. And then Ace Prosperity, that's a course that I did again within COVID when COVID hit. And then Switchology 101 is my baby in teaching you how to program and how to condition in your inner world. So if you're interested, taking your message, your expertise, and your wisdom, your story, and making multiple income streams, then what I want you to do is I want you to click on the link below and fill out a time, and we can have a conversation, a 45-minute to 40 to 45-minute conversation, find out where you're at, and I want to do everything I can to support you and so that you can understand your greatest ROI. Here's the secret, my friend. The greatest ROI is you. The greatest ROI is you. You are the only person you've spent every moment of your life with. And until you really value that and understand the magnitude of that, you're always going to be playing small. The world needs you to let go of that story, to stand in your greatness so that you can give other people permission to do the exact same thing. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here with me. And I hope this served you. And if you're ready to take your life to the next level, then click the link below in the description or wherever below here, and we'll set up a time and we'll have a conversation that I guarantee you are going to love, because it's going to give you some strategies and techniques that's going to take your life to a whole other level, my friend. Be blessed. And as always, live like your life depends on it, because it does.